Speculating and theorizing about the existence of yet undiscovered planets in our solar system has been bounced around for centuries. Prior to each new discovery of another outer planet has come detection of anomalies in the erratic, inexplicable motions of the outermost known planets. For instance, before Neptune's existence was determined, for decades astronomers had been theorizing that Uranus, discovered in 1781, irregular movement may have been caused by the presence of yet another undiscovered planet. Indeed, that was the case in 1846 when Neptune was first sighted and identified. The now dethroned ninth planet Pluto, discovered in 1930, relegated in 2006 to minor dwarf planet status, and Pluto's later found moon Charon were then used to explain the observed wobbles in Uranus and Neptune's respective orbits. Thus, errors in calculating precise positions of known planets hold an enduring pattern of later confirmation of cause determined by each newly discovered planet. Hence, for over a century scientists have debated that yet more major planets and dwarf planets belonging to our solar system are still out there in space waiting to be found and existing anomalies to be explained. Way back in 1940, Chilean astronomer Carlos Muñoz Ferreira predicted accurately that the powers that be would attempt to cover up Planet X when it comes barreling towards the Earth. Ferreira referred to Nibiru/Planet X as a comet planet because it has the size of a planet but speed and elliptical orbit of a comet. The most controversial undiscovered planet operating within our solar system, dubbed Nibiru or Planet X, was made famous in 1976 by noted researcher author Zecharia Sitchin in his best-selling book The 12th Planet. As one of few scholars able to read and interpret Sumerian clay tablets, Sitchin utilized those ancient texts to make a highly plausible case for the existence of Planet X, also known as Planet Nibiru the Destroyer in ancient scripts, coming closest to planet Earth every 3,600 years. The Sumerians lived over 6,000 years ago in what is today Iraq. They are credited as the first known civilization on Earth, inventing mathematics, writing, agriculture, law, schools, astronomy and astrology. The Sun in our solar system is similar to 90% of the solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy, all part of a binary star system containing two or more suns. The Planet X system can be considered a mini-constellation consisting of our Sun's twin, classified a brown dwarf star called Nemesis. This dark star is largely invisible even with infrared due to its surrounding red iron oxide dust clouds. Nemesis possesses at least 3 planets that revolve around it, Nibiru and Helion, both with moons, and Arbogad. Though Nibiru travels along an elliptical-shaped orbit and enters our solar system approximately every 3,600 years, one by one crossing the orbits of our solar system planets, it does not revolve around our Sun. In 1990, researcher-author Zecharia Sitchin interviewed the supervising astronomer of the U.S. Naval Observatory Robert S. Harrington to discuss Harrington's recent discovery of the red planet X. Harrington set up a special telescopic observatory in New Zealand to track Planet X. But the renowned head of the Naval Observatory suddenly died mysteriously at age 50 of a rare form of cancer under suspicious circumstances. His wife is convinced he was murdered for allegedly leaking too much information about Planet X. Yet 2 years after the Sitchin-Harrington interview and just months prior to Harrington's January 1993 death, a NASA press release was still publicly embracing Nibiru/Planet X as real. Unexplained deviations in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune point to a large outer solar system body of 4 to 8 Earth masses on a highly tilted orbit, beyond 7 billion miles from the Sunday. Also in 1992, a confident NASA scientist named Ray T. Reynolds went on record proclaiming, "Astronomers are so sure of the 10th planet they think there is nothing left but to name it." NASA at that time did everything but scream Nibiru from the mountaintops. But ever since Harrington's untimely death, with few exceptions, the lid has been tightly sealed on any more accurate information released by mainstream sources directly to the public. Apparently the US government had made the decision to keep Nibiru and its projected earthly destruction under wraps. In recent years, the feds have sent out trolls to disseminate disinformation and false propaganda in attempts to debunk any would-be truth-tellers. The elite ensure that hired shills are planted to busily churn out concentrated disinfo campaigns smearing lies to prevent the story that never quite goes away from ever having full disclosure. Hyped-up predictions of past non-event disasters are most common, like the recent predicted May 28 San Andreas earthquake purposely timed with the opening of the film of the same name, or the 2012 Mayan calendar doomsday non-event, or the May 5, 2000 ice age that never cometh, and who can forget the Y2K fiasco, and on it goes. The more of these end days predictions that are proven to be false, the more chance that any legitimate warnings of Planet X will be summarily scoffed at and ignored. The boy who cried wolf syndrome effectively desensitizes the human population into doubting any actual evidence or truth about Nibiru will ever be taken seriously by any reasonably sane person, notwithstanding the aluminum foil hat crowd of conspiracy realists who are more often right than wrong these days when it comes to exposing the myriad of government cover-ups, false flags and lies. The effects of such a large celestial body as Nibiru/Planet X, estimated to be from 4 up to 8 times the size of the Earth re-entering our solar system, is generating off-the-chart internet frenzy in 2015, convinced it will cause enormous amounts of huge-sized space debris from an asteroid belt, potential comets, one recently cited to be 2.5 miles wide, and countless meteors plummeting violently to the Earth. It's believed that the impact of such giant objects crashing into the Earth will push the reset button for another axis tilt, likely causing yet another mass extinction and radically altering global climate zones, raising sea levels dramatically to reshape coastlines worldwide, decreasing landmass and increasing oceanic water surface. In addition to tilting the Earth's axis, it's speculated that Nibiru's gravitational upset and electromagnetic fireworks on our planet will set off mammoth cracks in the tectonic plates, resulting in never-before-seen killer quakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, tidal waves, hurricanes, record winds, massive flooding and tornadoes. Scientific evidence. Rather than dig into ancient mythology or biblical prophecy as so much of the current speculation about Nibiru already covers, this presentation will limit its focus to reviewing the most tangible, credible pieces of scientific evidence supported by astronomers and astrophysicists who in recent years have risked destroying their careers, reputations, and their very lives promoting their controversial findings and conclusions. This year more than ever, the movement's growing authenticity of the Planet X story is in fact gathering momentum, at least garnering lukewarm support from some rather high-profile notables within the scientific community. This article will chronicle this growing body of empirical evidence validating not only Planet X's existence but its eminent approach towards Earth. This highly controversial Planet X system entering our solar system with potential catastrophic implications was first featured in a Washington Post article way back in 1983. NASA's Infrared Astronomical Telescope found the mysterious planet possibly as large as Jupiter near the constellation of Orion. As distant a time as 32 years ago, it was considered to be the closest heavenly body to the Earth beyond Pluto. Researcher-activist John Moore has long asserted that a number of his inside ex-military and government intelligence sources have independently confirmed that a top-secret meeting took place in 1979 in a New Orleans briefing room where highest-ranking U.S. naval flag officers were first informed of the coming inevitable Planet X disaster that would occur within their lifetime. In October 2003, a highly significant and telling Department of Defense-sponsored government paper was published called An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and Its Implications for United States National Security. This paper notes that oceanic saline levels were dropping, causing thermohaline circulation collapse. A serious disruption of the Atlantic conveyor belt that pushes warm salt water near the surface circulating northward from the south while deeper cooler water flows southward would have a devastating impact on global climate. The paper concludes with the following sobering predictions: wars over energy, food, and water resources, increasing draft over wider land mass, and violent climate change effects producing more frequent, higher magnitude natural catastrophes of all kinds. A dozen years later, all of these most disturbing developments are clearly manifesting. Of course, the current standard politically correct scientific dogma is that global warming, aka climate change emanating from CO2 greenhouse gases, is the obvious culprit. This mass deception is designed to conveniently obscure the multiple dire effects caused by many decades of the globalists' geoengineering, HAARP, weather modification, and weather wars, not to mention the hidden, non-existent Planet X system hurtling towards us deeper inside our solar system that's likely causing tremendous changes at the surface of all our solar system planets, of course including our own Earth's atmosphere and global surface. In March 2010, the mainstream UK newspaper The Telegraph ran a story entitled "Search On for Death Star That Throws Out Deadly Comets." The subheadline announced that NASA is looking for the twin sun that's the brown dwarf star Nemesis, slowly circling our sun and periodically catapulting deadly comets to the Earth. So as tight-lipped NASA has been over the years, little tidbits reflecting that it's still keeping an ever-present eye out for the cataclysmic Planet X system still manages to seep through to the public every now and then from so-called reputable news sources. The article goes on to state that the star that's 5 times the size of Jupiter is the prime suspect that wiped out the dinosaur 65 million years ago. The then latest NASA trophy piece surveying the heavens, the Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, WISE, was capable of detecting the faint heat emanating from the dwarf star 25 times the distance between Earth and the Sun, or 1/3 a light-year away. Launched in January 2009, WISE discovered at least 1,000 dwarf stars located within 25 light-years from the Sun until October 2010, when its coolant was scheduled to run out. Twice as far out as Nemesis is the Oort cloud, which is the sphere of icy bodies surrounding our solar system. With the Planet X system entering our solar system, its gravitational force is believed to launch trajectories of comets and asteroids that are large-sized space debris objects of icy rocks and dust that bombard our solar system planets, including the Earth. Professor John Matisse of the University of Louisiana Lafayette believes that this nemesis that includes planet Nibiru as part of the Planet X system is mainly responsible for supplying such a concentrated volley of comets from the Oort cloud into our inner solar system. In May 2012, LiveScience.com and Examiner.com both featured headline stories heralding the probable discovery of Planet X. Astronomer Rodney Gomes of Rio's National Observatory of Brazil had just presented new evidence of the mysterious planet at a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. Gomes demonstrated that the icy objects outside Neptune's orbit in the Oort cloud displaying irregular movement that cannot be explained by known mathematical laws of astrophysics but can be by the gravitational influence of so-called Planet X. Additionally, the dwarf planet Sedna's peculiar orbit can also only be accounted for by the presence of a large unknown planet. Gomes' findings were very well received by his peers, believing that he got his math right. But of course, not wanting to endorse Planet X completely, they dutifully towed the scientific/government line of status quo by tempering their enthusiasm with a call for more research and posing alternative theories that may not involve another large planet. Then in November of last year, LiveScience.com reported evidence that 2 new undiscovered planets may be lurking in our solar system. A January 2015 article from Space.com also addressed the possibility of 2 more planets beyond Neptune and Pluto moving in the outer limits of our solar system, subtly influencing the orbits of the dwarf planets. Carlos de la Fuente of Madrid's University of Complutense stated, "This excess of objects with unexpected orbital parameters makes us believe that some invisible forces are altering the distribution of the orbital elements of the ETNO's extreme trans-Neptunian objects, and we consider that the most probable explanation is that other unknown planets exist beyond Neptune and Pluto." Still another team of astronomers in March 2014, Chadwick Trujillo and Scott Shepard, announced the discovery of 2012 VP113, another ETNO joining Sedna as 2 known members of the inner Oort cloud, the comet-filled sphere that lies just beyond the Kuiper belt and Pluto. Trujillo and Shepard claim these 2 objects' orbits comply with the gravitational presence of a big perturber, up to even 10 times the mass of the Earth. Major unheard of changes are currently appearing on the surface and atmosphere of the Sun and all the planets. Astronomer Mike Lockwood from California's Rutherford Appleton National Laboratories found that since 1901 the Sun's overall magnetic field has increased by 230%. Solar flares and storms have also increased. The Earth's moon now has a 6,000 km deep atmosphere of natrium that it never had before. Mercury, the planet closest to the Sun, now has grown polar ice. Venus' brightness has skyrocketed by 2,500% and experienced major changes in its atmosphere in the last 4 decades. Meanwhile, further away from the Sun than the Earth, Mars has melted polar ice caps and its magnitude of storms has strengthened exponentially. Jupiter has had the brightness of its plasma clouds increase 200% accompanied by a pattern of intermittent thickening then weakening. The largest planet in our solar system's enormous belts have been changing color with radiation levels erratically waning and then flaring up again. An increase in asteroid and comet activity crashing into Jupiter likely from Nibiru's entrance into our solar system has also been observed. During the last 3 decades the jet stream on Saturn's equator has slowed in velocity while X-rays at the equator have spiked. Uranus has become brighter with a huge flare-up of storm activity when its surface before was always placid. Neptune has also increased in brightness by 40%. The atmospheric pressure on Pluto has jumped up by 300% despite it moving further from the Sun. The glowing plasma on the edge of our solar system has increased 1000%. The profound changes being measured in space are unprecedented. An increase in energy emission is changing the fundamental structure of all matter throughout our solar system. Taken together, these massive across-the-board changes most likely are all effects from Planet X moving through our solar system. Of course, changes on the Earth have been pronounced as well, most notably with electromagnetic changes, yearly incremental polar axis changes, and extreme weather changes. For instance, North Pole, Alaska recently saw its late spring temperatures soar to mid to high 80 SF. From 1963 to 1993 the frequency of natural disasters globally has leaped up by 410%. And in more recent years the rate of disasters has soared even higher. With an increasing number of volcanic eruptions along the Pacific Ring of Fire and earthquakes felt globally particularly along the San Andreas and the New Madrid fault lines, coupled with the Nepal 7.8 earthquake a couple months ago, major volcanic and earthquake activity in 2015 is rapidly on the rise. As early as November 2013 10 different long-dormant volcanoes went active, first suggesting Planet X's presence. The rate of volcanic eruptions from 1875 to 1975 has increased by 500%, but even greater now. An exponential increase in 3.0 or higher earthquakes are shaking America's heartland due to fracking, in Oklahoma alone going from 2 or 3 a year prior to fracking to 562 last year alone. Since 1973 earthquakes have risen worldwide by 400%. 6.0 magnitude earthquakes or greater have also spiked in recent years, jumping on average from 108.5 earthquakes per year in the 1980 to 1989 decade to 160.9 earthquakes per year from 2000 to 2009, increasing by 38.9%. In the first quarter of 2014 alone, more than twice as many large earthquakes occurred than on average since 1979. 2 months ago scientists at the European Science Foundation warned that in the years to come there is a 5 to 10% chance that a colossal-sized volcano could send the Earth back to pre-civilization status. A significant rise in landslides and floods have also been measured. For the last 2,000 years the Earth's magnetic field has been decreasing gradually. But in the last 500 years that decrease has become much more dramatic. Just this month scientists have been shocked at the alarming rate that the Earth's magnetosphere has been disappearing. The planet's natural shield preventing solar winds and radiation from reaching the Earth's surface is being lost. This disturbing discovery comes while solar storm activity is also flaring up this year. These solar blasts seriously threaten to interfere with satellite and GPS communications, and risk bursts of electromagnetic pulses, if not launched by EMP weapons in the wrong hands like ISIS, that could be lethal to America's power grid, instantaneously placing millions of people in the dark without any source of electricity for months or even years at a time. Effects from a diminishing magnetic field would double the amount of radiation, causing an epidemic of skin cancer deaths, speed up climate change and magnify extreme weather. Solar winds would eliminate ions that allow the Earth to retain water and air. All these horrific changes are happening right now. What next to no scientist who wants to stay alive is revealing is that this torrid rate of ecological degradation and life-killing Earth surface change are more than likely caused by Planet X racing ever closer toward us. Another rather peculiar development to the Planet X story has been Google Sky's strange actions. Several years ago, no doubt in literally keeping with the media blackout, Google actually did black out the grid in the sky to ensure that Planet X was crossed out of its sky map. Then Google Sky mysteriously reinserted back in the missing grid, fully depicting the flaming winged Nibiru. So it's visible from both the actual sky and the Google Sky now, more evidence that the tide is turning toward the truth about Planet X. Back in mid-April, the European Space Agency invited astronomers, physicists, nuclear engineers, mathematicians, and even soldiers in space defense from around the world to a conference in a Rome suburb to discuss the topic of an asteroid striking the Earth, with the proposed hypothesis not if, but when. Sounds familiar to the Nibiru cataclysm scenario, minus the forbidden planet, of course. This planetary defense conference, strategizing how to collectively handle near-Earth objects, NEOs, plunging toward us using space weapons technology, has been an annual event the last 6 years. 12,700 asteroids have been identified as NEOs, with orbits coming within 121 million miles from our main sun. There you have it then, my friends. Finally, we actually have the scientific establishment taking this whole subject seriously and telling the truth for once. The information you have just heard is heavyweight in nature and should make a lot of people sit up and take notice about what is really taking place with regard to Planet X Nibiru. This whole article is a watershed moment for all serious Planet X researchers. Be safe, everyone. Peace, love and light from Soul Evolution.